You know what really sucks these days, guys? Remember when we used to have escapism, you know? We used to have entertainment that we would watch that was just, you know, plain and simple escapism. But unfortunately, escapism is dead, you know? There's no more escapism. Nothing is ever made that doesn't have some sort of political agenda now, you know? Everything is an agenda, propaganda, trying to force their ideas down your throat and stuff. And that's just how it is now. And let's find out more from our British correspondents over on the Lotus Eaters.
We were just speaking about propaganda. Do you love that your escapist entertainment that you were supposed to spend your spare time playing and enjoying is now all purely propaganda? Do you enjoy seeing
play modern video games?
No, that's probably the best idea, really. What about you, Callum?
God, no, I don't either.
And
the last video game I played was Medieval 2 Total War, which came out in like 2006.
Fair play, very based option.
Well, it's a great game. I mean,
yeah, it is good.
Yeah,
the game hasn't changed.
And you're just like Shogun 2. Ugh.
Yeah, it's too foreign.
Man, that's sad. I mean, I'm not even a big gamer. I'm like pretty much known for not playing many video games. I don't believe him, by the way. I'm pretty much known for not playing many video games, and even I've played some games since 2006, man. Like I played Red Dead Redemption 2. You know, that was probably the most recent game I played, I guess, or like the most recent game I played to completion anyway. I've been trying to play Baldur's Gate, but I've only fired it up twice. And it's not like I haven't enjoyed what I played, but I just haven't gotten back into it again since those two little those sessions. I just haven't really felt like the call, like, oh man, I got to go play Baldur's Gate 3 again. There might come a day when I get more heavily into it. I'm not sure. But, you know, it's just like everything is just an agenda now. There's no more escapism. There's no more light fare. Everything is just like trying to beat you over the head with its message all the time. That's everything now. There's not even one thing that's just like some silly fun anymore, you know? Not even one thing has been made like that for, you know, the last few decades. It's horrible. Let's hear more.
The guns.
Yeah, but exactly. That's why I don't like it.
Oh, fair enough.
yeah, and as part of this,
It doesn't have Crusade.
Yeah, I think the Resident Evil 4 remake is actually more recent than Red Dead Redemption 2. So I guess that would be the most recent game I've completed.
we'll discuss something else as well as just the propagandistic elements of everything these days.
Everything is fucking propaganda now. Live in fear, people.
I will also briefly touch on video game graphics because Callum, we had this discussion earlier this year when we were talking about
these guys haven't played video games since 2006 and yet still having conversations about them. I mean, Sargon of Akkad was making Gamergate videos like way after 2006. Like he was making videos about Gamergate and that shit was like 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. And the whole thing there was like, feminists are trying to invade gaming. We got to keep gaming good. So presumably gaming was good at that time. But now apparently he hasn't touched a video game since 2006. Okay.
J.K. Rowling's legacy and transphobes legacy.
In video games.
Yeah. And you were talking about graphical fidelity and the clarity of the image, basically just declining and declining and declining in the arms race to get the shiniest, most prettiest graphics with all of the sparkly effects on them.
So real. It's real, though.
It's so real.
I can't see anything on screen.
I've really come around to your position.
I mean, what? From what I've seen, the graphics of video games have unquestionably gotten better and better over time. Like, of course, like, do some awkward looking games still come out here and there? They do, of course. Are some games rushed and then they come out not looking as good as they're supposed to? That absolutely does happen. But like, overall, the landscape of video game graphics has, you know, unquestionably improved over time. Because there's always been games that have looked like shit. And there's always been games that have looked great. But the ones that look great now look better than the ones that looked great 10 years ago. For sure. I mean, that's insane. 5 years ago. What? I am so profoundly confused by this line of I was going to say reasoning, but I don't think it counts.
On this, I have to say, because
I mean, I could understand if you don't like, man, I don't like the direction games have gone. Okay, I can get that. But to just like bold-faced be like, graphics are worse now. No, they're not. That's demonstrably false.
playing a lot more old games recently, and it's nice just being able to tell what the hell I'm looking at.
Color contrast.
Yeah, not everything being a desaturated, grey, lens-flared mess like a J.J. Abrams movie.
But it's not.
Huh? Once again, by the way, these guys are all claiming they don't even play modern games, but they have this litany of complaints about these modern games. And maybe they're telling the truth when they say they haven't played them, because the complaints they have don't really track with what I've seen in reality. So maybe they're being legit. Maybe they really haven't played any newer games, because like what they're describing doesn't really, I don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Does anyone even know what the fuck they're talking about with this like desaturation and shit?
It's not even because you can do. This is one of the criticisms I hate of Fallout 3, where they're like, "Oh, it's great." It's like, yeah, it's a post-apocalypse, you moron. But it's that ability to tell what is an enemy, what is an object, what you can go and see. I don't know what the correct wording is.
It's instantly recognizable visual design.
Yeah, and people have made endless video essays on Valve's particularly perfect work when it comes to Team Fortress 2.
It's designing the silhouette was what they really wanted for Team Fortress 2.
But it's the colors, the type of colors you use. There is a weird amount of thought that Valve put into that example. But
are you getting into color theory now? I mean, a bunch of guys, at least two of which claim they don't even play video games anymore, having a conversation about video games where it immediately devolves into like baby's first color theory, where they just start sucking off Valve, which I'm sure Valve deserves and stuff. But like, is this conversation just like really weird to anyone else? Is this kind of just like an odd convo? Does this feel like it's happening in our reality? Because it kind of feels like I've wandered into like a slightly different alternate dimension, and I'm watching something that only applies to that dimension because it doesn't really seem to apply that much to this one.
But then
it shouldn't be modern weird though. It should be the basic amount of thought that you
go to a modern video game and it's just, yeah, but it looks real. I'm like, it doesn't.
But even
do that
in the race to look as real as possible, we have hit uncanny valley territory where the more realistic you try and make it look, the more it highlights all of the not realistic aspects of the way that faces are moving.
But also, there's this weird element of like red.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like uncanny valley is something that video games probably came up against like almost a decade ago now. And like you see it less and less as these games have improved graphically. And I'm not even like a graphics guy, by the way. I am not one of these people that just like, oh my God, the game looks so photorealistic, therefore it's good. Like, I am not of that opinion. I'm way more about like gameplay and it being fun and immersive and the world being cool. I'm way more into that than just it looks really amazingly photorealistic. But that being said, there are some games that are really amazingly photorealistic out there, especially some of the stuff coming out on Unreal Engine 5, right? I mean, there was a video game that was making the rounds not too long ago that was like a police body camera game. People were watching the trailer for the game and they were literally like accusing the programmers of shooting real footage and claiming it's video game graphics because it was that indiscernible from a real environment. It was that convincing. And that made the rounds and everyone was reacting to that. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be a good game. In fact, I think it probably isn't going to be all that great. Maybe it will be. I don't know. But video game graphics have improved tremendously in terms of realism. And the stuff that is, you know, looks good, not because of realism, but because of competent color theory application and competent design work and all that stuff, those games still very much exist. I don't know where we're getting this weird idea that they don't. I mean, the like I said, the most recent game I have played has been the Resident Evil 4 remake, which was, you know, it wasn't exactly a ground up rebuild of the game, but you know, a lot of the mechanics and scenes and locations from the original game, you know, pretty radically revised for that remake. And like, it is a well-designed, beautiful game. Not photorealistic by any stretch of the imagination. You can tell you're looking at video game characters. You can tell you're playing a video game. But it's great design, and it looks fucking great. And that was made by, you know, a modern gaming studio. I don't know where this weird idea is that's just vanished. It's gone. No one does it anymore. Very strange.
Herring to it as well. Like, so I'm a big Total War fan, and I'm most disappointed by Pharaoh Total War. I didn't buy it, thank God. I watched everyone else's reviews of it, and they were like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" And like, zooming out is a great example where you've got just masses of men, but there's no color distinction. They're just some variant of brown on a brown terrain, and it's just like, okay, what is going on? But then if you look at like all of the promo stuff and like the main menus and stuff, it's these incredibly high detailed, high definition like characters of the thing, and it's like, that was such a waste of money. You know, like,
who plays Rome Total War and then zooms in to see the graphical fidelity of your legion?
But,
no, you see the blocks fighting.
Sure, but even if you're a bit closer or something, fine. Yeah, okay, it's fine. It's understandable to make the.
I mean, the title of this video is "Escapism is Dead," and the premise of the video is that we're being propagandized to. And so far, all anyone has talked about is how they don't find the graphics in modern games as appealing as they once were. Are we going to get to the actual, like, substance of this anytime soon? Are we actually going to, like, maybe address the topic at hand? We're going to mosey our way along to that at some point? That'd be
Individual
really convenient
soldier.
for me.
Nice, but not photorealistic.
But okay, no, go and make him look photorealistic if you have to.
Okay.
Right? I don't care. Why have you spent all of this money making photorealistic ancient Egyptian commanders? No one cares. That's not what the game's about. That was a total diversion. And then you look, you know, just all of the sort of high definition graphics that don't apply to the actual play of the game itself. It's such a red herring. It's such a waste of time and money. And it's not like the game was any good anyway. So why did you bother? And you know,
I would assume that when they were making the game, they thought they were trying to make it good, right? I assume that, like, no one is making a game and thinking, I mean, unless they're under some kind of insane time crunch, no one is making a game and thinking to themselves like, well, this is gonna be total shit anyway, so why put any effort into it? Because that's how it became. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. So the reason that they put the effort in to make the graphics good was probably because that was their job, and they assumed the entire game would be good and probably hoped for that outcome. No one's like working on a game thinking like, oh, this is horrible and I'm not even going to try because it's just horrible. And if they are thinking that, then they're contributing it to it being horrible. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell the line of logic is there. Why bother even trying when you're making a garbage game anyway? Well, obviously they weren't trying to, moron.
They'll speak for themselves.
I think what matters is if you want to present it with the advertising and all of the nice flashy features that will draw people in eventually, and then make sure that the game, when you're actually playing the game, doesn't need to be anywhere near as high detail as you're talking about. Just make sure that there's a level of clarity where I can tell what I'm looking at, and that the gameplay is fun, and then you make all of that other bells and whistles around it worth it.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would think so, but the game design...
Guys, why isn't every book written a literary masterpiece? Why isn't every movie made a perfect 10 out of 10? Why isn't every painting painted? An unimpeachable, you know, a masterpiece of the highest caliber? Why isn't every single thing that human beings create just as good as it could possibly be? Well, that's because it's always going to be judged on the basis of everything else around it. And some artists are better than others. And some productions go better than others. Sometimes the creative team really gels very well. Sometimes it doesn't. Like this idea that everything that's made that should just be like a perfect 10 out of 10 masterpiece. And if it isn't, then obviously what the hell were they even thinking? That's just like a silly idea. And it really doesn't have much to do with reality. And it never has. Like they're basically, these guys are bitching about variance in the quality of video games as if that is something new. Like one of the most popular YouTube channels and one of the original YouTube channels, one of the channels that's stuck around the longest on this platform is the Angry Video Game Nerd. And the entire premise of that dude's most popular show that's still getting like videos with 1 million views or plus even to this day, after like, I don't even know how many years of doing it, 15, 16, whatever. The premise of that guy's show is old video games. There was a lot of stinkers. There was a lot of shit in the NES library. There was a lot of shit in the Sega Genesis library. There was a lot of shit in the early days of gaming. Just like there's a lot of shit in the middle ages of gaming, and there's a lot of shit now. So this idea that like only recently have bad video games started to get made due to some failing of our culture today is stupid, silly, and there's no evidence for it.
Is on intent on making games fun anymore, and our escapism isn't escapism anymore, because I was shocked.
Just a quick thing before you go on, right?
Yeah.
No, he was about to actually get to the fucking point. No! Carl, no! Why?
I think hammers this point home more than Pharaoh Total War, actually, right?
I
Because
haven't played it.
I haven't played it either, right? I've played Troy.
It has really
Why aren't these games that I've never played any fun? They're complaining that these games are no fun anymore. They haven't played any of the fucking games. How do they know? How the fuck would you possibly know if you've never even tried to play it? You couldn't know. That's why all they've got to bitch about is graphics. Because they haven't actually played the fucking games. I don't know. They've heard that I watched a YouTube review and they said it was no fun. Well, that's not going to teach you anything. You don't know just based on that. You could be the one motherfucker that finds the game that everyone hates. Hey, man, this thing's actually pretty cool. But you don't know because you don't try. So you can't sit here and bitch. They just don't make any fun games anymore. When you literally won't even try to play them. Like, that's silly.
really annoys you.
No, I've played Troy Total War. So I basically have played Pharaoh Total War because it's literally just a reskin of that. But the numbers are what shows it, right? On average per day, there's about 5,500 people playing Medieval 2 Total War, and there's about 2,500 people playing Pharaoh.
There's 200,000 people playing TF2 right now.
Sure,
I
and
don't have to look it up.
Of course, there are.
there are there are
TF2
loads
is
more
a
for
more-
other
No, but it speaks to the solidness of the gameplay. If you make a game that's that solid, doesn't matter how much time will pass, people are still
Yeah,
playing.
it has longevity. People still go back and play the original Half-Life with all sorts of mods to try and make it look nicer, but you can still just play it because the
It's
gameplay
fun.
lasts. The gameplay lasted to the point where you can still enjoy it.
Back in my day. I mean, if you really want to talk about people playing old games, I'm like, people still play fucking shit on the NES library. People still play shit from Atari, even. People go back and play all kinds of stuff, even stuff that was before their time. Just as a curiosity, or just to see what it was like. Or sometimes they're just like really into that shit. Like, there's nothing wrong with appreciating the stuff that came before, but acting like there's nothing fun happening now when you flat out refuse to even try what's happening now, it just seems kind of silly to me. And like, I've been in this boat. It's not like I don't understand where these dudes are coming from. Like, I feel this way about a lot of modern music. Like, there's not much made these days that I like. A lot of the shit I listen to, I don't care for. But you know what? I still go out of my way to try to listen to it, to go find it, to see, hey, is there anything coming out? Is there anything happening right now musically that I do like in any scene, anywhere? And you know what? Sometimes I find some stuff. Sometimes I find, oh man, this group is actually pretty cool. This artist has actually got some cool stuff going on. This song is actually pretty fucking dope. That being said, like, the landscape that exists now is not my favorite musically. So I can understand that. But acting like you just think there's nothing being made now that could possibly hold your interest, and bitching about it. If you're not actually going to try to solve the problem, then don't present it to me. And I specifically remember too, during like the whole like Gamergate days, Sargon of Akkad constantly saying that if you don't like the video games that are being made, like saying to people like Anita Sarkeesian, like, hey, if you don't like the art that's being made, then you should make your own. So maybe he should do that. Maybe he should go create something on his own. I guess he paints Warhammer figures, so good for him. A little stress reliever.
As an experience over 25 years later. But what I don't think will last is stuff like the newest Spider-Man game. Spider-Man 2 for PlayStation 5, which I played the first one when it came out on PlayStation 4 back in 2018. There was a lot of time I spent at university playing that when I should have been doing work. But that's the university experience, realistically. And it was an okay game. It wasn't Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 2, but it was an okay game, had a decent story, and it was fun. And then I see, I know, right? Remarkable. And then I see this, and I think, no, this can't be real. It's a 4chan post. This can't be real. So it's Spider-Man 2, and it's
let me read this.
Yeah, go on.
Has so much.
Oh my God. Holy crap, guys. After 6 minutes and 5 seconds of absolutely goddamn nothing being said, they're finally going to actually get to like the stuff that's bothering them. They're actually going to talk about the subject matter that they said they're going to discuss. So cool.
Much positive energy and progressive political messaging. At one point, I actually found my cheeks hurt from prolonged grinning as you swing through the game's immense and detailed virtual New York. God, who wants to see a detailed virtual New York?
I don't know, someone playing a Spider-Man game, since that's like the location, right? I imagine if you're playing a game set in New York where you have an open world and you're Spider-Man and you're swinging through the city, it might be like helpful and cool if there's like, I don't know, like a pretty well established and put together world around you. Like, what does Sargon think they should have done? Just like put up some blocks and shit? Like, yeah, that's New York. A bunch of fucking blocks. Who wants to see detail in the fucking environment of the game? Who cares about that? Like, I don't know, normal people? At least more normal than you? Arguably more normal than me? Not really all that arguable. Definitely more normal than me, too.
You'll take in a fantastically diverse city filled with people of various ages, gender identities, physical abilities, and skin color.
So, New York, right? Like, that is New York. Like, I could understand this being like a criticism, and him being like, oh, fuck that shit. If it was like, you're going to go to rural Kentucky, where you're going to meet a rainbow coalition of, like, then it'd be like, okay, well, does that really fit that locale? But New York City, that makes total sense.
All just living their lives. There are cultural street festivals, such as rats cooking, dancing cooking that you can almost smell. Rainbow and Ukrainian flags hang in front of stores.
What was this rat line? He said something about, like, they're foreigners, so they cook rats. This is the same guy I saw defend British cuisine. I would rather eat a fucking Bangladeshi street rat cooked by the locals than eat anything that an Englishman puts on their plate, okay? And I'm not just speaking for myself on that one. I'm speaking for the entire world. Yeah, like, basically, like, the criticisms of the Spider-Man game, which they have not played, but the criticisms of the Spider-Man game so far are that New York is detailed and the population of New York is accurately reflected. So basically, like, they're mad at the game for having realism.
That can't be real.
People speak in the languages in which they are fluent, which means that Spanish, English, or ASL.
I looked into that. It's American Sign Language. Yeah.
You didn't just know that?
And the missions often up.
I guess you're English.
Positivity ante. Good God.
I was really enjoying my
have you finished the paragraph? Some of my favorites are the one where there isn't even any fighting or action, because that's what people play Spider-Man for, but rather Spidey just doing friendly neighborhood Spider-Man stuff. Like when he helps a gay kid arrange a series of surprises around campus for his boyfriend.
Oh my God. And that's when America was destroyed. Can we look outside? Look out your windows. It's on fire, isn't it? You want to know why it's on fire, folks? It's on fire because there is a mission in Spider-Man 2 where Spider-Man helps a gay person. That's why America's dead. That's why gaming is dead.
Why would I play this game?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. I assume because it's probably fun if you're not a fucking weirdo that just hates gay people for no reason. Does that sound like the most thrilling quest ever? No. But like tons of games have quest lines like that. There's quests in like games like Chrono Trigger or something that don't involve killing a bunch of people. You might just go like, give the girl the necklace or whatever the fuck. It's a little fetch quest. Go here, get this thing, bring it here. So what? Who cares? But of course, you're not actually mad because it doesn't sound like a fun mission. You're mad because we hate gay people. We hate people who fucking want to do anything outside of what we find to be the norm, even though playing video games is the norm and being some fucking weirdo that hates them for stupid reasons like this is not. Nonetheless.
I'm reading this. God, it sounds so fun. I can't wait to go and help.
I love the commentary there, though. Haha, another 4chan hyperbolic woke game description. It's from an actual game review. Oh.
Yeah, and then it caps it all off with, this game makes for fantastic escapism. How? What am I escaping from?
That's what we live with.
I'm escaping from the real world into a colorful facsimile of the real world where you have all of the things that
Well, let me see. What could be the difference between the real world and the Spider-Man 2 game? Oh, I know what it is. In the Spider-Man 2 game, you're fucking Spider-Man! What? You're a fucking super powerful being swinging around the city on, like, webs and shit. Fighting supervillains. Getting into fucking adventurous hijinks. So that's where the fucking escapism comes in, you fucking dolt. Are you serious? Oh, God, no. No. Why are they this dumb? Oh, okay.
everybody wants, well, the everything is promoted to us.
Yeah.
But now it has a nice, colorful, shiny Spider-Man veneer over it, and things, New York works. Apparently.
I've made progressivism work. It's in a video game, but
Video game. Finally, if we have Spider-Man,
I made progressivism work. It doesn't work in real life. Like the real New York City, you know, a central hub of commerce and culture and economy and stuff in America. But it has social problems like every other location in the world. By the way, plenty of New York, not all that fucking progressive. Because part of progressivism is being inclusive, and part of being inclusive is being inclusive to fucking conservatives. That's why there have been tons of Republican mayors of New York City. Just like there have been tons of Republican governors of California, the other supposedly, like, insane progressive place where everything is topsy-turvy.
webbing the whole thing together and just gripping on both sides like Tobey Maguire trying to make progressivism work. Arrgh! That's how you do it.
Yes, if we literally make it fictional, it can work.
Yeah, and sadly, this is a real review. This is from the Financial Post,
Average games reviewing site.
average games reviewing site, yes. And they missed out some other good little details here. So they say, at one point...
Man, I hate this fucking Spider-Man game. I'm convinced. I love how this started off as a discussion about, like, games just aren't fun anymore. They haven't, and how, like, who cares about the graphics? It's all about the gameplay, the gameplay. And now, in their criticism of this game, you notice one thing that hasn't been mentioned once? The fucking gameplay. They haven't said a word about it. They don't know a thing about it. They've never played the fucking game.
Someone says they want to pay Spider-Man for his services. And
He's like, I don't like the contents of the game. Well, I thought that was all just window dressing and all that really mattered was the mechanics, right? So what's all this? Why is this all a problem? Especially when, like, the stuff that's supposedly being, like, pushed on them is just like, hey, here's an accurate representation of New York City. Hey, it's detailed. Hey, it's multicultural, just like the real New York City. So what? Why is that negative? Like, if it was like a New York City that lacked detail and everyone was like just a white dude walking around, would they be like, man, this game is beast. Best game ever? I don't know, man. Seems like your criteria for what makes a good game is a little fucking strange.
Lies that Spider-Man never accepts payment except for hugs. He'll always take a hug.
Aw.
Was it a pedo?
I don't think that's supposed to be the
He
implication.
was helping children earlier.
Well, I suppose maybe it's the gay guy, you know, maybe he's wanting to show how inclusive he is. It's also worth noting that our hero or heroes, and this is just a great admission of the fact that this.
By the way, if this is depressing you at all, Spider-Man 2 has sold more than 2.5 million physical and digital copies in its first 24 hours. The game, developed by PlayStation-owned Insomniac Games, has won rave reviews since it was released Friday on the PS5. Faced criticisms over its length because it's a little too short in many people's opinions. About 40 hours with all the side quests, about 15 hours if you just stick to the main storyline. So pretty small game by a lot of modern standards. But yeah, actually a pretty huge selling game, made tons of money. Well reviewed, generally well liked by people who aren't these fucking British weirdos cackling over fucking Spider-Man helped a gay person. Bleh. I'm disgusted by this fucking propaganda, I am. Like, all right, bud. Good for you, man. This is the same humor as Snowflake, Crappuccino, and Bat Person? Yeah. So basically it's not humor. I mean, are they trying to be wait, are they trying to be funny with this? Like, am I supposed to be laughing at something here? Like, are they making a joke at some point that I'm just like not hearing, not perceiving? Like, they're just bitching about the video game. They haven't made a joke about it, really. They haven't made some sort of like witty observation or like flipped the script or done anything that's actually funny. They're just like, this video game sucks. Spider-Man helps a gay person. New York City is presented as a diverse city. And there's too much detail. It's like, this is the worst fucking attempt at a fucking video game review ever. And none of them played it. Once again, 3 guys, none of which have even attempted to play this video game, reviewing it and making the stupidest criticisms possible, and then using that as a basis to arrive at the conclusion of escapism as a concept is dead. All right, enough of that horse shit. I think I've had my fill. Jesus titty fucking Christ. What a nightmarishly boring and stupid fucking video that was.